I think that to realize that sustainable profit comes from long-term principled consideration of more stakeholders than shareholders. Because, of course, we have suffered very greatly from short-termism, rapid profit-taking, careers that are very remunerative, but in the short term. And I think one of the things that's necessary is this whole notion of sustainability, which is so vital in terms of our life together on this planet, with resource scarcity becoming more and more of a theme, whereas I can remember, I'm sure you can, the day before yesterday, people would deny that there was any such thing, but there is now clearly, in a number of fields of primary materials, commodities, there are major fears about resource scarcity. And so I think that we're looking for sustainability, sustainable relationships, sustainable communities, sustainable profits, a sustainable planet. And one of the norms that I would like to make sure is instilled in anybody in business is leave something in it for the next person. And the next person may well be our children, because there's also been an appalling blindness in the whole field of intergenerational ethics. So I think a principle turned into a norm. We are not the owners of this planet. We are temporary leaseholders. We are the stewards. And one thing we have to remember is that the economy is a totally owned subsidiary of the environment. And if we don't look after that, then there will be a very bleak future for the human race.
In that context, what is your message on climate change, for example?
My message on climate change is this world has one reality. We are not jumping on some kind of fashionable bandwagon. If you are a worshipper of God and a believer that the way things are is meant and it's good and it's beautiful, then you must be passionate in defense of it. And clearly what we are doing at the moment, and I think the science is unequivocal, but of course the most remarkable thing is that we've managed to delude ourselves in countries which have got to face very considerable changes to the way in which we all live. We've managed to delude ourselves in vast numbers that the science is in fact dodgy, tentative. And this is the most extraordinary bouleversement and irrational leap. I think the message is let's be urgent, because if you are listening to the vast majority of the science on this subject, it's undeniable that climate change is occurring of various kinds. There was a very unfortunate period when we started to talk about global warming, which after the winter we've had is extraordinarily implausible. But of course it's climate change, climate volatility. We are facing a deterioration of the conditions in which human beings live on this planet, and in particular there are some homelands that will become totally uninhabitable, possibly within the lifetimes of our children. And so this is a very urgent thing. It is a world in which we are afloat in one ark, and the message for people in the first class is, well, you won't long be insulated from a leak in steerage. It affects us all. And so partly for love, for celebration, for joy. I'm not in favour of trying to terrify people into compliance or talking about the apocalypse. That's totally immobilising. But simply for joy, we should have a rather lighter footprint on the earth, and we should realise that if we are serious about our responsibilities towards our own children, then we must begin very urgently being more sparing now.
Looking more generally at politics, many observers, I suppose, would say that religion is a big part of the problem in today's trouble spots around the world. Do you have a response to that?
I would not deny that. I think those who claim that the problems in the world are really political, they're not religious, I don't honestly think you can sustain that argument. Those categories bleed into one another. Religion, if it is not seriously undertaken can very easily fall prey to a phenomenon which is present in all religions, and that is that bruised egos surreptitiously reascend by making a god in their own image. This is very dangerous, and of course it gets translated easily into political terms. In all religious traditions, the cure for that is to be spiritually evolved, to be much more serious about your religion rather than less. And I think that as we look around the world, of course, there's huge competition for resources. I would say that greed and appetite has been the source of most of the wars in most of the world's history. I'd say also, looking at the 20th century, it was the people who hoped to build heaven on earth by social engineering who proved utterly lethal. There were secular messianic states. One thinks of Stalin's Russia and Hitler's Germany, secular messianic states, believing that they were going to use the resources of human ingenuity to build heaven on earth, and succeeded only in creating hell and a vast graveyard out of their laboratory. So while I'm not prepared to hear the news that all the worst wars in history have been religious wars, nevertheless, I think one has to be very clear as a religious person the dangers of idolatry, the dangers of egos surreptitiously reascending by inventing a god in their own image, this is immensely serious and has got to be exposed seriously. I would say, of course, as someone who tries to profess the Christian faith, that in this context, as we look at the human face of our God in Jesus Christ, we see somebody who was prepared to give up his life because he loved the world so much. And this is not a very good message for the egos who want to surreptitiously reascend. That's one of the things that convinces me about Christianity, that nobody in their right minds would have invented it.